Sonic Frontiers is releasing tomorrow, and it's setting up to be one of the biggest and greatest 3D Sonic games in over a decade. But as we Sonic fans have learned over the last, 30 years, it doesn't hurt to be a bit cautious. But have you seen the Knuckles thing? Holy shit, my boy is back! I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, as a big Sonic fan myself, I've been anxiously awaiting the release of Sonic Frontiers. And today I will be showing you all the reasons why I am carefully optimistic about the release of Sonic Frontiers. Now we could go frame by frame, analyzing every bit of gameplay we've seen so far, cross-referencing it across every game in this franchise, seeing what goes well, what doesn't, and make the perfect formula to see if this is the second coming of the blue spiky Christ, or we could not do that. Instead of what I've done is I've laid out all the 3D Sonic games that I've released so far, labeling each one with how much I like them, from really good to really bad. And from that, I've been analyzing what is it that makes Sonic good, or what makes 3D Sonic good. No, you know what? No. What makes Sonic good? Because it's not just what makes 3D Sonic good. I feel like a lot of the things that make 2D Sonic good also make 3D Sonic good. They've just been ignoring it. So, from this little analysis I've done, what I've found for myself is that Sonic is at its best when he's innovating. I think that you can boil down every single Sonic game into a single question in how they were designed, and as long as that question isn't, can we do this again? It's usually a pretty good game. What if Sonic won, but the question, what if Mario had momentum physics? What if Sonic Adventure, but what if we took Sonic and put him in the third dimension? And what aren't the day stages of Sonic Unleashed, but how can we make Sonic feel fast? Mr. Stu? Yeah? Yeah, I'm looking over the script here, and I can't help but notice your use of the M word, sir. The M word? You know, the M word. What is that? What is that even? The hell are you talking about? You know, there's been a whole thing on Twitter recently. You know, momentum? People just can't handle that, sir. Oh, not this again. Get out of here with your Twitter nonsense. But sir, get out! Okay, anyway, momentum drama aside, you can really do this exercise with all Sonic games and figure out what made them good or what made them bad. Just for example, you take Sonic 06 and you really try to find the essence of it. And really what Sonic 06 is we take Sonic Adventure 2, we say, what if it had 3 times as many playstyles, and we add a bunch of things that are getting popular with the new generation of gaming, like side quests and shops and whatever not. And now you only have half the team to do it, and you have to get it done before the 15th anniversary Christmas release. Good luck. And then you also have every Boost era game after Unleashed. Really is just, oh, how many levels can we make using this movement system? And the answer is not a lot. Which is why they keep shoving in 2D sections in 3D Sonic games, even when classic Sonic is present for 2D platforming. Okay, so now we take a look at Frontiers, and it's quite obvious to see what the question in this case was. What would happen if we put Sonic in an open world environment? And it's not even a hypothesis even. It's pretty much been confirmed with an interview between Game Informer and Katashi Iizuka, where he basically says exactly that. So using this little exercise that I've devised, you can see why I am excited about the game and why I think that this open world or open zone design aspect really is an opportunity for a breath of fresh air for the franchise as a whole. So this open zone design isn't just something new, in my opinion. I think alongside it is also the perfect counter to one of my biggest grievances in the franchise for the last decade. So to show you why I think that this open zone design is going to really fix Sonic, I'm going to break down the essentials of level design for every Sonic era up till now. So we start with 2D Sonic. You need to get from point A to point B. Now obviously, all you need to do to get to point B is to move right? Well, you could just hold right and hope for the best, but this is going to leave you in the normal route. The normal route in 2D Sonic usually consists of some speedy moments broken up by slower platforming challenges. If you take a wrong step here, you may die and have to start over. Now let's say that instead of just holding right, you looked around a bit and looked for opportunities to get to a higher route. You would find the cool route. This route rewards you for your exploration with more exhilarating platforming, less slow moments, and the punishment for misstepping here isn't having to start over, but having to continue on the normal route as you fall there. Sometimes it may even be like a little secret route which houses extra goodies for your adventures, like for example the bonus stages in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Now we move on to the adventure era of the Sonic franchise. Your goal is still to get from point A to point B, but now point A and point B aren't directly connected anymore. Instead, there are multiple locations in a level, every location having like a point of entry and a point of exit. And your goal is to go from the entry point to the exit point in each location, however you wish to. Within each location, there are multiple routes to take. Once again, having like a normal route or some faster routes, which usually take either skilled platforming or a bit of exploration. So then the exit point of one area and the entry point of another are then connected through some kind of set piece, like for example the whale section in Sonic Adventure 1. So finally we have Boost Era Sonic. Here the level is once again to get from point A to point B, and the two are directly connected. You just have to move forward instead of going right. As usual, there are other routes you can take, but instead of being completely altered ways of getting to point B, it is more of a hidden path that you can take, which is maybe slightly shorter or houses goodies. But this isn't necessarily always the case. Sometimes it is just for the goodies you go there, and it might just slow you down going there. So of course, if you were just go from point A to point B as fast as possible, the game would be over in less than an hour. Levels would be over in like 2 minutes. So the solution they've come up with is adding slower 2D platforming sections in between the levels to pad them out to be a little longer. Now these sections are usually unavoidable and they do slow down the pace of a level significantly. So if you take these designs and look at them side by side, you can kind of see how the adventure formula is an expansion on the 2D formula, while the boost formula kind of takes the set pieces of the adventure era and builds the levels around them. I feel like this is also kind of the reason a lot of Sonic games have been feeling stale. Skillful play doesn't feel as rewarding as it used to because now speed is locked behind a press of a button instead of taking the faster route. And the sense of exploration is not really there. Okay, and now we're going for this open zone formula for Sonic Frontiers. We throw away the idea that you need to go from point A to point B entirely. Instead, we take a large area and put several points there that you need to visit. In this area, we can put in locations, kind of like how they were in the adventure era, which would be your platforming challenges. And then we can put more automated set pieces in between these locations that you're able to take, but you don't have to. And boom, there we go. We have taken the adventure formula and expanded it again. Great, we're innovating again. We are improving the groundwork on which we are building this game. Now there's more to a game than that. You can't just build a house by having the blueprints and the pile of bricks that you're gonna build it out of. You need to cement it together, add a roof, and give it a nice layer of paint. Now, the paint in this metaphor is obviously the art design and the music, which has always been good in Sonic games, so I don't think I need to go over that. Instead, I want to focus on the cement of this house. I want to talk about the story of Sonic. Now, there may be like high stakes, right? Like, oh, Eggman is enslaving an entire alien race to power his super powerful weapons. Or Eggman has already taken over the entire world. But then the game fails to keep you interested by constantly cracking jokes and like not being serious about it. Now I know it sounds like, oh, it's a game about a blue hedgehog running fast. Why does it need to be serious? I'm gonna tell you. Because the reason early Sonic game stories were good were because they were surprisingly deep and serious. Even though they may not have always been super coherent, they were interesting and they hooked you. And like this extends to the levels as well. Like if you just have good levels, but there's no stake in like doing the levels, like there doesn't feel like you're doing the level for a good reason, it just takes away so much of the emotion. Now I'll show you why it's important by giving you two examples. First, set the stage. Sonic Adventure 2. Eggman is planning to send a laser beam onto Earth to destroy it so he can rebuild Robotnik Land on top of it. And he's getting really close to being able to do it. Now Tails has devised the plan. He has made a fake Chaos Emerald using a real one to counteract the charging of the Chaos Emeralds in the Eclipse Cannon. He gives the emerald to Sonic and he blazes off to going and enter it into the Eclipse Cannon to stop it. He gets there, but then Tails calls. Eggman has taken Amy hostage. Eggman saying, if you're not coming here right now, I will shoot Amy. So Sonic, obviously the hero he is, rushes over to help. After a slight detour with Knuckles, introducing Crazy Gadget. Now the stakes are high. Eggman is on the intercom constantly reminding you, Sonic, get the hell over here or Amy will die. So you navigate this level as fast as you can. Your entire being is like, God, I need to save Amy. So you get there, Sonic arrives on the scene. Eggman is holding Amy at gunpoint. Tails, stunned, unable to help at all. As you arrive, you're here and you're thinking, oh my God, wait, this is the best scenario. I can hand Eggman this fake emerald so he can put it into the machine himself to blow it up, and we save Amy. So you put down the emerald in the middle of the room. Whoosh. Sonic gets captured. And then Eggman reveals he knows that you have a fake emerald. And then Tails, in wondering how did he know that Sonic's emerald was a fake one, says it out loud. And Eggman reveals he didn't know. But Tails just told him. As Eggman says his final goodbyes, he sends Sonic into space to die. The tension in this entire section, immaculate. And even though Sonic survives by what some people may think is just pulling something out of his ass, it's still like it's even not that much of an ass pull because he's seen Chaos Control. He has gone super before using Chaos Emeralds, which is Chaos Control, which means that he should be able to do it. The real question is can he do it with a fake emerald? And he can, because they told you beforehand that the fake emerald has similar power to the Chaos Emeralds. And then let's move over to Sonic Forces real quick. Sonic has been defeated by Infinite, knocked down and captured by Eggman. Eggman has taken over the entire world, except for just some small areas. An alliance was formed to stop his advance. But as Knuckles alludes to, it's not going well. Tails has lost it from losing Sonic. Sonic has been tortured in jail for months. Cut to Sonic cracking jokes and looking completely fine in jail at Zavok and breaking the hell out of prison himself while you're on your way to rescue him. And you see Tails just being actually like completely fine, just a coward again. But he has been for like last decade, so who cares? So yeah, we're really like undermining the stakes that we've built. And now the levels just don't feel like there's a point to them. Like, what are we even doing? Sonic has already escaped. Why are we infiltrating? Now, I believe that we are moving away from this like jokey kind of storytelling that the Boost era has introduced. Mainly because of this interview with GameSpot and Takashi Iizuka. Takashi Iizuka reveals that they are like kind of moving away from the more comical tone for this game and more go for a mysterious approach. But, you know, still maintaining Sonic's, like, essential attitude. Now, I'll be hesitant to say that we're really going fully back to this, like, high-intensity storytelling of the adventure games. But I'm still hopeful. Like, it's looking like we're making a step in the right direction. Like, we're taking Ian Flynn in for the story of this game, who has been responsible for a lot of comics that has been released for Sonic. So, like, someone that knows the character is actually writing the story. And I think it really shows in, like, some of the previews we've seen that we are going back to, like, characteristics that were introduced in the adventure era that were lost in the boost era. Which brings me to the next part of this metaphor. The roof of the house we're building. The characters. Now, the characters of Sonic are probably like one of the main reasons I and many others have fallen in love with the franchise. It's such a diverse cast of characters with like surprisingly deep motivations and like characteristics for, you know, it being like a cartoony cast of animals. I mean, just kind of, if you're like looking at the main cast, for example, you have Sonic, a, you know, 90s teenager coming with like the attitude and the edge that comes along with it, but with a heart of gold, who would sacrifice his own life to save others, and being a beam of light for people that don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And then we have Tails, like a genius kid who was banished from his like family because of the way he looked, and then was taken in by Sonic, and he then for a while always relied on Sonic to save him, to save the day, until at some point he was forced to stand on his own 2 feet and take on the danger head on, and he becoming a real hero. Even Eggman, you know, the most comically evil villain you can think of. In the end of Sonic Adventure 2, his like facade cracks a bit, showing like telling Tails that all he really wants was to be a great scientist like his grandfather, like opening the doors to many possibilities for his character to go. Like, is he evil because his grandfather was killed for being a great scientist? The exact reason he adores his grandfather? Is he resentful of like the government because they are killing scientists? You know, just because their potential may be used for evil. And now we have snarky asshole, big old coward, just an idiot, and Baldy McFucking Nosehair. Quite a glow down for these characters, right? But there's a light at the end of this tunnel. On this year, November 1st, they released a little like short film called Sonic Frontiers Prologue Divergence. Here we are shown Knuckles guarding the Master Emerald and taking care of Angel Island, doing his sworn duty that he has taken on his entire life, while pondering how would his life have been if he hadn't had to take this duty at birth. What would he be doing right now? Kind of alluding to, like, you know, the good times he could be having with his friends that he's made over the years. This character showcase had me screaming from excitement. Knuckles is back. Like, not that idiot we've been seeing for a decade. No, Knuckles. Knuckles is back. If he can do this for Knuckles, think about what he's going to maybe do for Tails, Amy, Sonic. Will Sonic finally be that glimmer of hope he used to be? Maybe, just maybe he is. But the metaphor of the house isn't completely done yet. As I have alluded to before, I am cautiously or carefully optimistic about the game. There's still a secret element to this metaphor that I'm going to be explaining right now. Executement, aka the Wrecking Ball. Now, in a perfect world, we would take all these good signs and say that this game is going to be great, without a shadow of a doubt. But this isn't a perfect world. Twitter exists. So we should also look at some patterns that have been set by, you know, bad Sonic games and see what may be repeating now. I think like the first, point of concern is the release timing. So the game is coming out on November 8th, as you should all know. That is tomorrow at the time of this video being posted. And now, just because the game's a Scorpio does not mean that it's going to be a bad game per se. But there's something special about November as a month for video games and for Sonic. You see, November is what we call in the gaming industry like the holiday season. If you release your game in November, a lot of parents are going to start buying it for their kid because they know they like that franchise. So it'll be under the Christmas tree, and like on Black Friday, the copies are going to be flying off the shelves. But this has also led to games being kind of rushed to be released on November. Now, in a perfect world, either it just happened to be done by then, using their, calendar, or maybe it has already been done and they're just kind of waiting for the holiday season. So their sales numbers are going to be better. But usually that isn't the case. Usually what happens is that they plan for that holiday release, and then even though the game isn't truly complete, they can't like extend it another year. So they have to like rush it to like have it be in a presentable state before the release date, hoping to like patch some things out, which usually happens to bad Sonic games. Take, for example, Sonic Boom. Rise of Lyric and Shattered Crystal were both released in November 2014. Take Sonic Frontiers, November 2017. Shadow the Hedgehog, November 2005. And Sonic 06, November 2006. That doesn't mean that all Sonic games released in November are bad. There are like some exceptions like Colors and Unleashed, although, it's kind of the opinion on those games kind of shifting. But besides from the release date, what else do we have to like see like maybe we should be a bit careful about our, hype? Well, I think one of the things that had most people concerned early on was when we saw gameplay for the first time in May, and it looked rough. Like the animations looked jank, the world looked empty. Everyone was like, "Oh no, this game's gonna be terrible." But now, like in the newer gameplay sections we've seen, and as the development has gone forward, we've seen like those kinks ironed out already. I think them showing the game in that state kind of shows that they were maybe behind schedule at some point and like hadn't like completed everything that they wanted to at that point, alluding to them like currently rushing to complete the game, which I hope it's not. I hope it's not like a situation like the Colors remake where first day people are gonna find things that they can suddenly get like epileptic attacks, and it also doesn't inspire confidence that it's the first time that they're doing it. Now, as I said, when they're innovating, usually Sonic does well, but obviously there's always room for improvement, and having like this rushing attitude of like you need to get the game done now while doing something that they're not used to could give some points of concern. Setting all of that aside, I'm still very excited about the game and releasing tomorrow as of releasing the video. So I'll be playing this game as soon as it comes out. You can watch me play it live here on YouTube. So if you want to see that, make sure you're subscribed so you get notified that I'm live, that way you can actually catch it. So if you want to see like my first impressions before pulling the trigger on actually purchasing the game, you can go in and come by, have some fun, chat it up. What do you like about Sonic? While you're down there clicking that button and you like this video, you can leave a like. I'd really appreciate that. Really helps us out. And that'll be all for me. See ya.